Every time I go to check stock or drop it in a search bar, it's either low stock, back ordered, or completely gone. And honestly, that kind of made me more curious, like, what's really going on with this one? Now, we all know Seiko has a pretty strong history when it comes to chronographs. They were one of the first to launch an automatic chronograph way back in the 60s. So when they revived the speed timer name for this Prospects line, I had a feeling it was going to be something a bit special. But here's the thing, it's not cheap. This particular model, the SPB 513, comes in at just about $1,000, which, yeah, for a Seiko, that raises some eyebrows. So I bought one with my own money, no sponsor, no freebies, just to see if this thing actually lives up to the hype. So, first impressions then, and right away, I have to say, this one looks a lot better in person than it does online. Like, a lot better. Seiko's stock images just do not do this watch justice, and I feel like that's kind of become a trend lately with their mid to higher end models. They just don't photograph well under that flat lighting, and this is no exception. In the metal though, yeah, it's a different story. The dial has this really slick sunburst effect going on. It's subtle, not overly flashy, but it definitely shifts in the light. You've got those two subdials sitting slightly recessed, which adds some nice depth. I wasn't totally sold on the reverse panda layout when I first saw it online, but in person, it's grown on me already. I'm on a road to get 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. The case finishing, pretty decent. Mostly brushed with just a touch of polish on the bevels. Feels solid in hand, nothing too groundbreaking, but definitely well put together. Chronograph pushers feel snappy. The crown has a good bit of grip to it. It's got a sort of understated sportiness. Not screaming for attention, but quietly confident, if that makes sense. Now getting into the design a bit more, this one's definitely got that vintage Seiko chronograph DNA, but with some modern polishing around the edges. The reverse panda dial is the obvious highlight here. You've got a silvery white main dial with those deep black subdials, and yeah, the contrast is pretty strong. It gives it that sporty motorsport feel without being too aggressive. The subdials themselves are slightly sunken, which helps break up the dial and adds a bit of texture. You've got a 30-minute counter on the right and running seconds on the left. Nice symmetry. No 12-hour counter though, which is worth pointing out if that's something you'd normally want. The hands are simple but sharp, polished baton style with a slightly wider hour hand. They're fully loomed too, and actually feel well proportioned for the dial. The central chronograph hand is in black, which makes it blend in more than pop. Interesting choice, though it might hurt. Legibility a bit if you're trying to time something at a glance. Markers are applied with a polished surround, and you've got that classic Seiko logo at 12. Cleanly done, no weird printing or misalignment on mine, which is always a win. The bezel is fixed with a tachymeter scale printed in black. Not ceramic, just aluminum, I think, so don't expect anything scratch-proof here. Still, it looks sharp, and the font choice is actually pretty tasteful. No goofy italicized tachymeter across the top like you get on some. Overall, yeah, the design feels thought through. Now let's talk bracelet. And, well, this is probably the most Seiko part of the whole watch. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but if you've handled a few mid-range Seikos before, you'll know what I'm getting at. The bracelet feels solid enough. It's stainless steel, fully brushed, and does match the case finish nicely. No sharp edges or anything like that. But yeah, it's not the most refined thing in the world. The links are a bit blocky, a little bit of rattle when you move it around. Nothing major, just very Seiko. End links are solid though, which is good to see. And the integration with the case is actually pretty seamless. Doesn't feel like an afterthought. Clasp is your standard Seiko fold-over push button with a safety latch. No milled clasp here, just stamped, which at $1,000 stings a bit. You do get a few micro adjust holes, but no on-the-fly adjustment or anything fancy like that. On wrist though, pretty comfortable. It's got a nice balance, doesn't feel top-heavy. For reference, my wrist is just under 6.5 inches, and this still wears reasonably well. Lugs do curve down nicely, which helps it hug the wrist a bit better. Would I prefer it on a strap? Honestly, maybe. But for the full steel look, the bracelet gets the job done. All right, let's get into the guts of this thing. The movement. Inside the SPB 513, you've got the Seiko 8R46 automatic chronograph, and this isn't your average entry-level Seiko movement. This one's proper. It's part of their higher-end 8R series, so you're getting a column wheel and vertical clutch, which is the same sort of architecture you'd find in much more expensive chronographs. That vertical clutch basically helps eliminate that annoying jump some chronograph hands get when you start timing, and the column wheel just makes the pusher feel a lot smoother and more tactile. And yeah, you can actually feel that here. Starting and stopping the chrono has this soft, confident click to it. Power reserve is around 45 hours, beats at 28,800 VPH, and of course, it's hacking and hand winding. The case is listed at 42.5 meters with a lug-to-lug around 45.5 meter, though it wears slightly smaller than the numbers suggest, probably thanks to the compact lugs. Thickness comes in just over 15 mm, which is chunky but not outrageous for an automatic chrono. You've also got 100 meters of water resistance and a screw-down crown, so this could definitely pull daily wear duty without any drama. No see-through case back though, just a solid one with the Seiko wave motif engraved. So yeah, proper specs, proper movement, not just dressed up from the outside. So how's it been wearing day to day? Honestly, better than I expected. Despite being over 15 mm thick on paper, it doesn't actually feel that chunky on the wrist. I think part of that is down to the case profile. The mid-case tapers a bit and the lugs drop off fairly quickly. That helps it sit flatter than you'd expect, especially on smaller wrists. Chronograph operation is solid. No lag when you hit start, no stutter in the central seconds hand. Reset is snappy and clean. It's actually one of the more satisfying mechanical chronos I've used at this price. Accuracy-wise, I've been getting around +8 to +110 seconds per day, which is decent. Not cost territory, but respectable for an in-house chrono. And I haven't babied it either, just regular daily wear. Crown's easy to grip, threads smoothly, and wins without that gritty Seiko feel some of the cheaper models have. So it's clear there's a step up in refinement here. It's not a featherweight, obviously, but as a solid daily chrono, it holds up really well. All right, quick word on the Lume, because let's be honest, if it's a Seiko, you kind of expect them to crush it here. And yeah, no surprises, the Lume is excellent. The hands and indices are coated with Seiko's Lume, and it charges fast and glows like a torch, especially in the first few minutes. What's nice is that the Lume is evenly applied. No patchy weirdness or mismatched tones. Is it Grand Seiko level? No, but it absolutely wipes the floor with most Swiss watches in the same price range. Final thoughts? Honestly, I get the hype. It's not a perfect watch. The bracelet is still the weak link, pun intended, and it's definitely a bit thick, but the movement is legit. The dial looks fantastic, and the whole thing just feels like it was built with intent. It's one of those watches that wears better, looks better, and feels better than the photos suggest. So yeah, that's the Seiko Prospect Speed Timer SPB513, the $1,000 chronograph that somehow keeps disappearing off shelves. I'm on a road to get 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. And now that I've spent some time with it, I kind of get why. It's not a flashy watch. It's not trying to be overly clever, but it's got heritage, it's got a proper mechanical chrono movement, and it just works. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this one you'd grab, or is it just a bit too rich for a Seiko? Links are down below if you want to check current availability, and I'll catch you in the next one.